Hello, linear algebra students. Today we're going to be going through three separate kind of problems where most of the work that we're going to be doing right now in this unit is called an appendix unit. So it is added on into the book. So the state of Minnesota thinks that there are a few more concepts that we need to go through and make sure students need to understand for 8th grade standards. And that's what we're going to be working on right now in the appendix unit, okay? So the first thing we need to do is talk about x and y intercepts. So you can see that your learning target for today is I can find the x and y intercept from an equation written in standard form. So you guys are very used to writing an equation like this. Y equals 4x minus 6. And you guys can tell me that the y-intercept is 6. Now remember, if the y-intercept is negative 6, because we have a negative 6 here, that as an ordered pair is 0, negative 6. So every time we do this problem, what is the x value? X value is 0. So that does not change just because our equation here is written in a different form. This is called standard form, and a standard form is ax plus by equals c. Do you see how the letters x and y are on one side of the equal sign? And that's exactly what we have here. So this is our ax plus by equals c. Now the same thing happens. This x value is still 0. It doesn't matter. To be on the y-intercept, to be anywhere on this y-axis, the x value has to be 0. So that's what I'm going to do first, is I am going to put a 0 in for x. And then what I'm going to do is solve for y. Because you see, now that I put a 0 in here, 4 times 0 is 0. So doesn't this just disappear? And you're left with 2y equals 12. And now to move that 2 away from the y, that says 2 times y. So the opposite of times is divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So it says that this y-intercept is 6. Okay, so this ordered pair is 0, 6. Now, you can see that I'm going to eventually ask you to graph this because that's why I put this graph here. So we can go to the y-axis and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and put a dot. Okay, now let's think about this. If I am going to put something on here, on this y-axis, okay, the green line, the y-axis, any point on that y-axis, on that x-axis, what is the y value? So any point that is on this green line, like let's just pick this point right here, I'll erase it. That point is going to be 3, 0. If I pick this point right here, that is going to be 6, 0. If I pick this point right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is negative 4, 0. Do you see what the y value is every time? The y value is a 0. So I'm going to go back to this original equation, and you see the first time in blue, I put the 0 in for x. Now this time, I'm going to put the 0 in for y. So I have 4x plus 2 times 0 equals 12. So 2 times 0 is 0. So I'm left with 4x equals 12. And I divide both sides by 4. So the x-intercept is 3. Okay, so now I'm just going to go on to my graph here, get rid of these points. Okay, so that I only have the one graph that I need. All right, so we're going to go here, and what do we find? X is 3, so 1, 2, 3. Now, we have our 2 dots, so we can connect them and put arrows on the end. So this is another way to graph lines if we know the x-intercept and the y-intercept. All right, let's try another problem here. All right, find the graph, find the x-intercept, y-intercept, and the graph. So they're asking us to do 3 things. Okay, so just like we've been finding the y-intercept before, if we're going to find the y-intercept, x is 0. So I'm going to do -3 times 0 plus 6y equals 12. So these are going to cancel out. I'm going to divide by 6. So my y-intercept is 2. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. So I put a dot here. Okay, now if you're going to find the x-intercept, y is 0. Okay, so we have -3x plus 6 times 0 equals 12. Okay, so these are going to cancel off, and I have -3x equals 12. Divide by -3, make sure you're paying attention to that negative sign. So the x-intercept is -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, put a dot, and now we can connect them and remember to put arrows on the end. All right, I've got one more sample problem like this. Okay, look at the directions are exactly the same. We still have the graph. Find the x-intercept, y-intercept, and then graph. All right, remember when you're looking for the y-intercept, x is 0. So 3 times 0 minus 5y equals 30. So this is going to cancel out. I'm going to divide by -5. And the y-intercept, make sure you keep track of that negative, is -6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -6. Okay, now remember when you're looking for the x-intercept, y is 0. So I have 3x minus 5 times 0 equals 30. Okay, that cancels out. So I have 3x equals 30. Divide by 3, and x is 10. So x is 10 is right here. Once you have 2 dots, you can connect them and put arrows on the end. Okay, so that's graphing from standard form with the x and y intercept. Okay, so here is another way that we can graph. They just give us a random point. Okay, this random point, this is x, this is y. So this means we're going to go right 5, and we are going to go down 3 and then put a dot. This represents a point. Okay, so I am going to go graph my point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. I have this point right here. Now, they're saying that whatever line I make, that is the point it is going to go through. Now I'm going to use my slope to find another point. So remember, this is rise over run. Okay, now I like to always go up. And now because this is a -1/2, I'm going to go left 2. Okay, now some of you don't like to do it that way. You like to say, well, hey, that's a -1 on top. So I'm going to go down. Now look at this 2. It's positive. So I'm going to go right. Okay, so from this point, if you do my directions, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. If you do the other set of directions, it's down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. And I've talked to you guys about this before. You need to be able to go both directions. All right, here's another one. Graphing. Graph this point first. Okay, so this is X, this is Y. This is your X axis, this is your Y axis. So -2 up 1. So that is the point. On your homework, every single assignment, I need to see 2 points. So that point, -1, 2, I need to see graphed. Now you need to use your slope, and remember we put a 1 underneath it. So up 1, and because both numbers are positive, I'm going to go right. So it's up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 1. 1, 2, 3, over 1. 1, 2, 3, over 1. And then we can connect them and put arrows on the end. Okay, one more of these. All right, so we have this -5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Put your dot. I always need to see at least 2 dots. So remember, this is rise over run. So I am going to go up 2 and left 3. Up 2, left 3. Up 2, left 3. Okay, now some of you aren't going to do that. Some of you are going to say, well, that's a negative, so I'm going to go down, and this is a positive, so I'm going to go right. So let's go down to right 3, down to right 3. Are all of these dots in the nice, same straight line? All right, we have one thing left to do, and that is writing something in point slope, and this is going to be the hardest part, okay? Hardest, easiest, it's just different, okay? So we're going to have blanks to fill in just like we did before. So it's going to be y minus a blank equals, and this is a blank, and then it's x minus a blank, okay? So we have 3 blanks to fill in. This slope still always goes in front of x, just like you did before. Do you see how you have x right here? The number in front is always your slope. So do you see how it says slope is 9? So 9 goes in this blank. Now, the rest of it comes from this is x and this is y. So now you have to pay attention to your equation. Do you see how this first letter right here says y? Y minus. That's always what the formula says. Well, what number are we going to put in after the y? We put in a -7. And then in the second blank, you see an x. So what number do we have here by x? And that's a 3. Now, there's only one thing wrong with this right here is mathematicians will not let you have a double negative. So we need to write this to say y plus 7 equals 9, parentheses, x minus 3. That is point slope form. Okay, let's try another one. So every time, point slope form is always y minus, and then your blank. Then you have a blank, parentheses, x minus a blank, and the number. Okay, so we've done slope intercept. We just talked about standard form, and now this is point slope form. So remember, in front of x, we always put our slope. So the number here that they tell us is a -2. Okay, now the rest of it comes from, you have to pay attention. This is x, this is y. Y, in this blank by y, you just put a 1. Then in place of this x, x is -5, so you have to put your -5. Now, the only thing that mathematicians don't like is that you have a double negative here. So you have to write y minus 1 equals -2, parentheses, x plus 5. And some of you might be realizing, okay, that says -5. What does my final equation say? Plus 5. It's the opposite. I see a 1. I see a 1. What does my equation say? A -1. So some of you might be able to just make that adjustment. Okay, last problem, point slope. Remember, it's y minus a blank, blank, x minus a blank. Because these are minuses, that's why it's the opposite sign. Okay, slope goes here, so we can see that this slope is 1/3, and then we put in a negative 12,